Hi, everybody. It's Talk to Me Tuesday. It's your girl, Anja, and I'm here with an extraordinary, super amazing event planner. Listen, this girl does the best in the business of weddings. And what you don't know is she's already been hired to plan my multi-million dollar wedding already. Please help me welcome this super talented, amazing, I mean, she's more than amazing. She's awesome. My girl, Chelsey.
Hey,
Hey, girl. Hey. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Busy, but good.
You're always busy. How in the world did you get into this event planning around weddings? How did that even happen?
Yeah. So kind of went back all the way to college, and I originally, as you know, went to college at Columbia originally for dance. And I danced my entire life and thought that's what I wanted to do. So I went to Columbia for it. And then about a year into it, I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. I need to get out. But transferring credits is awful. So I was like, okay, I got to find a major here. What am I going to do? So I was like, what's like the degree, like a business degree at an art school? Marketing. So then I went straight into marketing and I started taking some event planning classes. And a friend of mine in the marketing, like major degree area, she was working for a wedding planner and of course needed internships. So I was like, okay, where's my connections? Where's my connections? Need to use them. And she recently moved to New York. And so then I asked her, I was like, can you put in a good word with me? And I started an internship right in college, working for a wedding planner. And so that was like my initial start right there.
What? Tell me about the intern because I know it actually helped in so many different ways. So what was that like?
For sure. So started wedding planning. So she, the woman I worked for, she was based in Chicago, but also did destination weddings. So I worked for her for about a full year, kind of dove right in, planned weddings in Ireland and California, and then obviously in Chicago. So it was a very glamorous life to like live on the outside of when you're, really fresh, young, like 20, I think 21 I was at the time. So I was like, this is amazing. This is glorious, but there's a lot of schlepping. It's not all glamorous by any means. You definitely get your hands dirty for sure. It's not that glamorous a job. But yeah, so I worked for her for about a year. And then after that, I kind of wanted something a little bit more stable. And I worked at the Bon Appetit at the Art Institute of Chicago, and I kind of got into wedding catering sales there. So just like never full speed ahead on events, and that's kind of all I've done. And then after the Art Institute, I worked there for about a year and a half.
Hold on. We're getting so far into this.
Just so
Girl,
excited.
I just have to point out because for us, it was like you made it moment when the person you were interning with, like she's like amazing. She gifted you what kind of gift on your way out the door? Do you
I
remember?
can't believe you remember this.
You are so cool.
So she gifted me my first Gucci bag. And so it was a big moment. But she was like, here's your first Gucci. And I was like, ooh, this might be my last after I see that price tag.
Ooh.
I was like, can I come back and work and
that.
leave again? We'll get another bag, okay?
I'll just keep coming back every so often.
Yeah, no, but she's definitely been a great friend in the industry I've worked for. I'm actually, she kind of hired me on as a freelancer, and I'm working a wedding with her in, where is it? Mexico somewhere, in February. So I'm just kind of like joining her. So it's been a good connection. So don't mess up any connections you have because you need them in life. You never know when it could come back at you.
That's awesome. I love that story. Like, I think you worked so hard in that internship, and you were also, that wasn't the only thing you were doing. Weren't you like a manager at a coffee shop at the time too?
Yeah, I did it for the when I had 3 jobs in college. So like I had working at Caribou Coffee as an assistant manager, then I was working at Noodles and Company, and I was working at Fannie Mae Chocolate. So I got the pasta for college, I got the coffee, and I got the noodles. So everything. And then I started working for her, dropped a job or two, and then eventually I was full time for her. But I was definitely a hustler. I needed to work 24/7 all the time. But yeah.
No, you're a beast. Okay, so go back to your story about the next thing you got into. So you were at the
Art Institute. Yeah. So Allie, this is the person I used to work for before. She actually got me kind of this intro at the Art Institute. And so they have an on-premise catering company there, and selling, corporate events, internal museum events, and then wedding events. I was solely just helping with kind of producing wedding sales there. So I worked for them for about a year and a half or so. And it was a great experience to kind of in the real world, because obviously when I was a wedding planner, it was just like me and this woman. So like, that's it. Where, kind of getting your big panties on and like working in the corporate America world. It was really exciting, and it was really fun, and especially to do it at the Art Institute of Chicago. And just, I was just so proud of myself, just even having that on my resume. It was a moment. But yeah, so after working there, I was like, I love catering sales, but I just wanted to kind of work a little bit more outside of just one venue. So then I jumped to Limelight Catering, which is an off-premise catering company. So they can work all different venues. We've worked in fields in like Lake Geneva, and I've traveled to Grand Rapids, Michigan for weddings. So like everywhere. Honestly, one of the hardest jobs I've ever done, but the most rewarding. It's definitely a good job if you're a hustler like me.
No, totally. And you get to travel too?
Yeah, all the way to Michigan. Woo!
Okay, so at one point, I'm not even sure which one of these jobs it was, but I know that you talked about like the tasting part of things. How was that tasting? What were you tasting, and what was that like?
Yeah, so with working in catering, your kind of like daily task is basically to do tastings. Like that's one of your things to do. So I started doing tastings back at the Art Institute at Bon Appetit, but that was only like people who were contracted clients that would come in and try the food. But with Limelight, it was a showcase, right? So it's like, come in, book me for your wedding, book me for your corporate event. Let's do this tasting. And so it's like all out cocktails, champagne flowing. We're tasting, like 10 hors d'oeuvres, 4 entrees, first courses, late night snacks, sweets, everything. And then you just come out of it feeling miserable because you ate for 3 hours and you need some sweatpants. So I've been still working at Limelight for the last, now it's been 7.5 years. And then with Bon Appetit, I mean, probably 9 years of just eating every single day of my life. It's a very hard job. And drinking, of course.
Of course, we can't forget about the little champagne and whatnot.
Right.
So how does your dance background help you with all of this? Is that a thing?
Oh gosh. Well, I need to work out because I eat so much. So I guess since I know how to like exercise.
Okay. That's good. Number one.
I will say, I think the one thing with dance, and I mean, obviously you took dance growing up too. It's such a memory thing of just like memorizing choreography and just like being able to do multiple things at once and knowing your surroundings. Like, I don't know, like it sounds funny, but like those kind of little things have helped me along the way. And, every once in a while I will take a dance class just for, fun. And I go back and it's like, oh, this is like a different part of my brain I'm using. Like it's like a whole different section. But I don't know, it's kind of brought me, and helped me throughout things. But I mean, obviously it's not like I'm dancing, showing the hors d'oeuvres, but I guess I could.
I mean,
a side hustle, perhaps?
Perhaps there's a market for that somewhere.
Right, exactly. But I think just, being in the arts, I think the creativity too, in my job, I'm actually very creative. Yes, selling food you think is just like, here, do you like option A or B of a beef entree? No, I mean, with our company, we really focus on, trends of foods, what's the newest thing out there? How can we present the food? We might be selling the same exact item, but can we just present it in a different way? And it like changes the whole visual of it. So I think, kind of going to art school, like I still feel like I'm creative. There was a hot moment where I did leave the event world and sold event software sales. Let me tell you, not creative whatsoever.
You're like, ooh, that's my people. Ooh.
I know. I remember asking like a coworker that I was working with there, I was like, I really feel like I'm lacking like my creative juices. Like I don't feel anything's flowing. And she was like, yeah, you're probably not going to get that in this job. And I was like, okay, well, back to events I go.
She was like, girl, I can't relate to you. I'm satisfied and you're, this is good right up in here, right up in here.
I was like, I guess going back to hustling and, schlepping all the catering equipment around. I miss it.
Funny story. So what would you have to say? I know some point in your career you did like, I think, work closer to the brides maybe and their demands. So what are some challenges? Because I think a lot of girls grow up thinking, I'm going to have this and I'm going to have this and it's going to be this way and everything's going to be perfect. So how do you either bring the bride back to reality or
bring her back to reality. Let's be honest.
Like, how can I say this?
Right. No, I mean, I think with, catering, especially Pinterest is like a great but an awful thing out there, right? We all see things, even like if you're decorating your house, right? Like you see things, you're like, oh, I want that. And then you click on that couch and you're like, oh, not for $10,000. I'm good. Exactly. So like, that's the thing I think that brides struggle with the most. And, everybody has a budget and I think it's important to have a budget going in. And talking them through, and especially as a salesperson, trying to, change the conversation. Like if they want a champagne wall, but they, can't afford a champagne wall, how can we still have champagne? Or how can we make a cool moment, but maybe, not having the actual wall because it's, $1,500 or whatnot. So just trying to like segue them and, give them a different option that they can maybe afford, but still be really happy for them and be, like make it creative, like have this new idea that came to light. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. It's hard now because I'm actually a bride as well and trying to plan my own wedding. And I officially see it, like you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want. And then you get that proposal and you're like, oop, okay, so I think I need 2 things out of the 10.
So how is that now that you have been in the industry for a really long time now and you got that ring? So congratulations. Now that you are engaged, how does that influence what you're doing? So basically, like, how do you plan your own wedding?
Yeah. So, I've been in the industry for 10 years now. So like, I've seen how fast that day goes. Obviously everybody wants that like memorable moment, the wedding, everything. But to me, like, obviously the most important thing is getting married, right? It's not, the party, it's not the decor, it's not, your food, it's really getting married. And that's why I keep trying to remind myself. And, kind of categorizing what's the most important thing to you. Like for me, I haven't nailed it down yet. We're still looking, but trying to find the right venue where I don't have to do like a ton of decor and kind of like throw a huge budget. Like there was one venue we saw and we're like, this is amazing. To me, like my fiance, Justin, he's like, I want this one. I was like, all I see are dollar signs for decor because it's such an empty space. And like, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this. And unfortunately, like working in this industry has kind of ruined it because you've seen everything. So it's like, what do I want to do? And, I think just going into it, everybody thinks they have to be really traditional, right? Everybody thinks that they just need the standard stuff, but like do something adventurous. Like right now I'm in the process of trying to convince Justin to get married at a cantina so we can have an entirely themed Mexican like wedding. And I think would be amazing and so different. So like, try to like segue kind of that's what I'm doing personally for myself, is like trying to do these like weird, quirky moments, but things that still work, right? I mean, because I've had brides that come to me and like have this crazy, crazy idea that I'm like, it hasn't happened for a reason. If it hasn't happened, it's because it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yes. Okay, so you gave some really good gems about brides and weddings and everything like that, but what advice do you have for like family members or friends, or should it be a big wedding or a small wedding? Do you ever get into that with your clients or yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little bit more when I was working as a wedding planner that we get into it, not necessarily so much now, but I know how many opinions can kind of come into a wedding. Like my mom kind of keeps trying to interject. And I'm like, no, hold the phone. No. So I think, at the end of the day, it's you and your significant other's wedding. So, you have the final say. I think it's important to get other people's opinions. Of course, your friends and family mean so much to you, and obviously they're coming to your special day. So I think it's totally fine to have their opinions. But, just remember it's your day and you have the final say of what you want to do. I see for wedding tastings, I see a lot of couples like kind of bring in a whole bunch of people, like their parents, their sister, their maid of honor, their neighbor down the street that they've met twice. I've seen like it all of people that come in a tasting. I'm like, but your opinion does not matter. Why are you here? So I really, in a catering aspect, I suggest that you just narrow it down to both of you, or it's totally fine, parents, because obviously sometimes they're the one financially putting down the bill. So I think it's important. But outside of that, like leave your siblings at home, leave your maid of honor, your neighbor, your cat, whatever it is, like just let it focus. Oh, babies. I've seen so many babies in tastings. I get it. Sometimes like there's a baby involved. Don't bring it to the tasting. Not the place for it. Not the place.
We're just getting real right here on Talk to Me Tuesdays, okay? Leave that baby at home, okay, baby?
But yeah, so I think advice-wise, you're going to have these opinions that come in, and it is what it is. But just remember, your opinion is the one that matters, and make it focus about you. I've seen so many moms take over the wedding and make it their wedding, and just give them less information along the way. Of course, they have to be involved at some things, but it is your day.
So were you one of these girls that grew up just like having a dream wedding?
Absolutely not.
I know, me either. We're like, no.
I mean, no. If I wasn't in the event world, I would love to see where I would have got married. Like, I mean, I originally am from Minnesota, so like all my cousins and whatnot, I joke, they got married at like a VFW, if you know what that is.
No.
Oh, it's like an old person, basically, bar in a small town. It's like,
you were explaining that to me, because I was like,
no, it's like, think of like the Diviest Dive. It's like a veterans like kind of bar. Like my grandpa goes there, like that.
Okay.
And so it's like my dad always joked. He's like, so are we getting married at the VFW? And I'm like, no, we aren't.
No.
But I think it's ruined it for me. I think TV shows have ruined it for just people off the street who are just getting married. They don't have anything, Pinterest. It's just, what you want, just go for it and don't listen to other people. That's my opinion there.
I think that's actually really great advice, is like staying true to yourself and what you want,
Right.
Instead of trying to, what about, brides trying to get likes and followers and trying to go viral on their wedding day? I think that has gotten really out of control as well.
Right. I mean, I've had so many clients that, tell me in the planning process, they're like, we have to publish this in the Knot. We have to publish this in Vogue, or, whatever. And I was like, do people read magazines anymore? That's what I want to tell them.
Sorry. What? Who's gonna get that magazine? No way.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's a pretty print, like, but I don't know. I would take away, the photos from the wedding. I would take that away, those memories, the moments, getting a videographer and remembering it that way versus like a magazine editorial. Like, nope, nobody cares.
Chelsey's like, it's a no for me.
Yeah, I will not be published in any sort of magazine, not my thing. But I know some people are, that's totally their thing. But I just think you have to remember, be true to yourself and what really matters at the end of the day.
So do you think that you'll have any regrets after you go through your wedding process and then you'll do other people's weddings? Like, oh, I should have done that at my wedding. Is that a thing?
I mean, I think it just goes with, I mean, think of it as fashion, right? Like,
Okay.
the wedding industry is kind of similar to fashion where things change every single day and new trends come up. And you're always going to be like, oh, that would have been cool for my wedding, but it wasn't there because it was, 3 years ago or that sort of thing. But what's great is you can always have baby showers. Then you can have anniversary parties, you can celebrate birthdays, and you can always do these events. Obviously, I know a wedding is probably the biggest kind of party you will ever plan in your life, but there are other ways I think you can still kind of do those things that you see down the road.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so I know the wedding industry can be kind of challenging. So who's your support system? How do you make it through? Because those are some long hours. There is not really a 9 to 5. It's like late, it's like early. So who has your back on those days that are pretty challenging?
For sure. I would definitely say like my coworkers at my job, like we have each other's backs kind of no matter what, and we are all like together as a team. And we're there to vent with each other because we all get it, and you have to have that venting system to work in this industry, otherwise you won't survive. So we have Snapchat things that we're always sending messages to each other throughout the day. Additionally, I would not be able to survive or be engaged without my fiance, Justin. He's been a lifesaver through this. And reminding me like, it's just a wedding. It's just another wedding. It's just another day. Move on. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes people will fluff my feathers a little bit. But you just have to, it's just like any job. Like any job, there's going to be somebody that, frustrates you and you need to vent it out. But I think having the support system of my coworkers and then like my fiance really helps and brings me back and grounded too.
Yes, I love that. So what would you say it feels like that you get to live in like your kind of dream space with your dream job around people that you identify with, and you, like you said, you're artsy, you get to be creative? Like, what does that feel like?
It feels really good. Especially with like my line of work, we see a result at the end of the day, right? It kind of comes as just an idea on paper of what we want to do, how it should come across, but then really seeing the magic unfold and seeing the whole event together, you're like, wow, like I planned this, or like I helped this, assist like the catering portion or whatever it may be. And just kind of seeing that vision of life. It's really nice to see that, because I know not every job out there has that, like my fiance Justin, he works in Excel all day. So like, woohoo, the Excel document's done. Like that's his moment. But for me, it's like, wow, I saw this whole wedding. I also see reactions, right? For family members, getting others to like, be happy that we created this for them. It's just, it's really rewarding. And then also you have the photos afterwards that you can always relive those too. And, I'm constantly doing proposals, and we have to like, grab photos from previous events and put them together in a proposal. So it's like those memories, like you always remember that, and it kind of comes back, and it's a great job for that. I love that part of it.
So how many weddings do you think that you have been involved with from internship to right now?
So I actually did this count because when I left the industry for a hot minute and did event software sales, I was like, okay, I want to like, think about how many weddings I've done at that point. And I think it was over like 500 events, because I calculated like an average every year. And with my job, I could like, go back and see how many I did, but it's been over 500 for sure.
And that's not even including just the ones, like that's the ones you work, not even the ones you just go to with your friends.
Right, exactly. And like also, so like, I mean, I can do like 3-4 weddings in a day too. So like, I mean, that obviously adds up, because 500 divided by how old I am and whatnot, like obviously that doesn't go together. But I mean, in my career of when I was doing weddings, like I would for sure have like 2 to 3 weddings a weekend. I think the most I've ever had was 5, and I wanted to pull my hair out. That was a lot.
I think 3 is pushing it. 5 is just like overwhelming.
It was.
Overwhelming. And I feel like those days are a little emotional, energy wise, anyways, with all
Right.
going
And
on.
I mean, especially in the catering portion, you know, a lot of like I always tell clients, like, make sure you have a planner. Like, this is my advice out there. Make sure you have a planner. It doesn't like not everybody obviously can maybe afford the whole bells and whistles of doing, you know, a full planning planner, but having some sort of like day of planner. And in the industry, when we say day of, it does not mean they just like walk in on the day of and show up and be like, hi, I'm your planner. If anybody does that, don't hire them. You're getting scammed. A day of basically means most planners would come in between like, I would say probably 2 to 3 months prior to your wedding.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and they just wrap up all of the, like, put a little bow on everything, right, that you've done. They talk to all your vendors, make sure they're going to show up, you know, put together that timeline. I think it's so important. You put so much time and energy. It's insurance. Like, you know, just like anything else big you buy, you have insurance for it. This is your insurance. And you want to be able to enjoy your day. You don't want to be setting out centerpieces. You don't want to be, you know, grabbing all the linens at the end of the night, or if you provided, you know, all your little tchotchkes of everything, you don't want to, and also don't do those either. Nobody cares about those signs.
I love it. I love it. Is that going to be your last words of wisdom, or do you have anything else that you just need these people to know about your industry and how to make their dreams come true?
Yeah, I mean, I think have fun with it, right? It's, you only get to do it once, fingers crossed. But you know, have fun with it. You know, there's plenty of options out there, and I know it can be overwhelming. It's even overwhelming for me. You know, I'm planning a wedding in Florida, where I actually now live, and so I don't know the market at all. So I kind of feel like a brand new bride, you know, like because I don't really know much here. So I get how overwhelming it can be, but there are, if you're an overwhelming person like I am, like by a lot of things, you know, find a venue that already has like you know, small, like a small list of vendors. Like there's only 2 caterers, A or B, or decor, ABC, like those kind. I think it will really help you and not make you overwhelmed. You know, there are some venues out there that just, you can use whoever you want. Personally, I don't love those options. I would rather work with a team that like knows the place, they know the venue. So I think that would be kind of a word of wisdom if you're an overwhelmed bride like me.
And also another last little gem, anybody breaking into the industry like you that want to do what you do.
Yeah, I would highly suggest, like, you know, if you're younger and financially can do internships that like don't get paid, like try to do as many internships as you can and just try to dabble in what field of the industry you want. I feel like everybody thinks wedding planning, it's so glamorous and whatnot, you know, but there are kind of pros and cons that come with it where, you know, you would be a small business owner or work for a small business, you know, and not have perks of like working for a bigger organization. You know, if you're a hustle and bustle, catering can be your go-to. You know, decor is also another field in the industry that people really love. It's not as glamorous as people think. It's a lot of work, but I think, you know, doing internships, or even just freelancing, this industry needs so many people right now. I mean,
So
it
many.
ever since COVID, like it's taken a dip. And so like, if you really want to tap in this, just freelance, and like, there's a lot of people that will pay for freelancers out there, and, you know, just find your niche and like what actually interests you. I think that's really important.
Thank you, Chelsey. It has been so much talking to you about the wedding industry. Like, I loved having you on. You were amazing.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
You're welcome. You guys have been watching Talk to Me Tuesday. You can find me at It's Your Girl _Anja. Once again, It's Your Girl _ANJA. Make sure to follow Chelsey. Where are these people going to find you?
My Instagram is just Chelsey Boggs, all one, but Chelsey spelled CHELSEY BOGGS. So hit me up for more wedding tips.
Totally, you guys, like always, I put it right down here in the bio, so you'll be able to find her, follow her, ask her all the questions. All right, guys, that's it. You've been watching Talk to Me Tuesday. Thank you. Like, subscribe, follow. And until next time, bye, everybody.
Bye.